G'day and welcome to the Off-Chain Podcast. Don here with you. Our guest today is Ali Rizvi, CEO of Rockarai, which is building high-yield staking on Solana. A Silicon Valley veteran, ex-Apple engineer with over 20 years of experience, Ali drives innovation in software-hardware co-optimization, holds 2 patents in video compression. So we're really excited to talk with Ali about Rakurai's vision, the pros and cons of staking, what liquid staking is. If you don't know what it is, you're going to want to hear this episode, and where he thinks Solana is going next. Let's dive in. Let's start with your origin story and in particular how you ended up working in Web3.
Okay, sure. I come from a chip design background. I'm a chip design guy. I've worked for close to 20 years in chip design, about a decade and a half in the Silicon Valley. And my last gig was at Apple, and I did a lot of video compression, decompression, video codecs in the multimedia subsystem that is in all of your iDevices. And so when you're doing hardware, you just don't leave any performance on the table. I mean, it's like you're doing it for millions of people are going to use this, and it works in a very tight power performance envelope. So you just don't leave any performance on the table. When I went the entrepreneurial route, about 7 years back, I ventured into algorithmic trading for derivatives, exchanges like CME, ICE, and Eurex. And then after that, crypto did the same thing. We built a lot of ultra low latency trading systems for traders. Around the crypto winter, like 2022 timeframe, that forced a big rethink, and we pivoted towards blockchain. And the idea was to take all of those cool techniques and ideas that we use in algorithmic trading to build low latency systems, high throughput systems, bring that to blockchain and speed it up. So that's how I ended up in Web3.
Yeah, right. So maybe tell us a little bit about chip design. It seems like a bit of a, seems like magic actually to me, how chip design works, and things get smaller and faster and more efficient. Like you say, you don't leave any efficiency on the table or any performance on the table. It sounds like a very high pressure environment to produce. What does it look like for you? Is that actually like experimenting with materials? Is it sitting at a computer trying to come up with new equations? Is it trying different, manufacturing kind of designs, or is there a pretty solid roadmap and you just kind of follow that roadmap into the future?
It's a bit of both in that sense that, like, when you're working at a big company that's building chips, so these are like multi-million-dollar projects, and so there's a lot of stakes, so there's a lot of pressure there, and so there is a fair bit of like streamlining roadmap and everything. So like with Apple, like a new device comes out every year, and so you basically finish everything up in about 9 months, and the new device comes out. So there's a lot of pressure in that respect. You have to really perform all the time and try to get everything right. That's how Apple does the surprise and delight thing. There's a lot of good hard engineering that goes into it. But you'd be surprised how accessible hardware design is. Like, if you're familiar with coding, if you were to design chips, it's almost like the software tools are such that you program or you design things in a language that is similar to C. It's called, these are called HDLs, hardware description languages, and Verilog is one of them that's quite dominant. And so you're essentially programming things, but all the while you're thinking in terms of hardware blocks. So you're writing code, but you have to be thinking in terms of hardware blocks. Like, when I write this thing, like when I build this module in this seemingly software type of thing, it's going to become a piece of hardware. And all those pieces of hardware are always active, always parallel. They're not sequential. Like with software, there's a lot of sequencing and things go sequential. So the thinking is a bit different. You have to be really careful about like every bit of every clock cycle. If something happens, so you have to be really detail oriented. But if you're into performance and you're into building products that millions of people use, it's the thing to do. Yeah, but yeah, it's something that you just can't do out of your garage. I mean, at the end, it's like a big manufacturing operation also, so you have to be part of a big team.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that's super interesting. You also mentioned that you were working on video codecs and compression, and you lived in Silicon Valley. I'm wondering, did you watch that HBO show Silicon Valley, where they come up with this middle out
I haven't.
version of you'd be one of the only people who in the world who would be watching that going, you guys are better. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
You haven't seen it?
Mm-hmm. I haven't actually. Like, I've heard from a lot of friends that just been crazy busy. I didn't get the time to, but I mean, some of my friends who watched it, they say it's a fairly accurate representation of what goes down in the Silicon Valley. So,
yeah, man. Well, tell me then, what was the inspiration then? Was it through that algorithmic trading coming into then, building and looking at Solana? What was the inspiration then for building what you're working on now?
Sure, yeah. So it's blockchain's the core concept, the core utility it brings about is decentralization, and it's what does that do? It kind of brings all of this finance and this economy, makes it universally accessible to everybody in a way where it's not sort of beholden to central authorities, even though central authorities have a great role to play in many respects. But this move towards decentralization, kind of a reaction to sort of the centralized systems, has value, and the world is embracing these values. But all of this will lead to like a grand Web3 future where like transactions as small as a few pennies or a few cents to multi-million-dollar transactions can all happen instantaneously across borders, across the globe, anywhere. Like a farmer in a village somewhere can get their value for what they produce instantly on blockchain. They can get they can trade their produce or something. So that's sort of the promise of Web3. One example of that, but that it's not going to happen unless you provide sufficient bandwidth and sufficient capacity on the network for all of these stakeholders, all of these participants to participate in that. And so what you see is that if you compare against a centralized world, like if you take an example, like a single centralized exchange does orders of magnitude more transactions than all of these layer ones put together, all of these blockchains put together. For instance, like take Binance, it does like 1.4 million transactions per second, Bybit 800,000, Coinbase around 100,000 transactions per second, and Solana, one of the fastest layer ones, does just over 1,000 true TPS. So that sheer gap in performance is also reflected in the sheer amount of liquidity that is available in the CeFi space versus the DeFi space. And so we are looking to solve that gap. Like we want to fix that gap. And so Web3 future is not going to dawn without solving this performance gap. That's what Rockarai is doing, and that's how we that's why we bring all of our hardware sort of know-how, our networks and system programming know-how, and algorithmic trading know-how to accelerate blockchain and sort of make it fast enough for everybody.
You've helped us understand the problem that Rockarai is trying to fix. How are you thinking about, or can you help us to understand your thinking in terms of how you're going about solving that problem?
It's, in the case of Solana, so the thing with blockchain is that there's so many chains out there. With Solana, what we found when we approached it, kind of like a happenstance, like one of our customers, when we were back on early services, they wanted us to see if we could speed up Solana. And so we just tried some of our like basic toolbox techniques, and we found that we could make some headway, but there was something else in there that we couldn't there was a barrier, we couldn't break past that. And so we looked and we saw that the transaction scheduling is a big bottleneck in Solana. So the way we are tackling this problem is basically solving the transaction scheduling problem. Solana gets a lot of performance pieces right. It has done a lot of things right in terms of performance. It has parallel execution of transactions, like Ethereum does not have that. Hence Monad, hence Say, all of these parallel EVM chains that are coming out trying to solve the performance problem for EVM. Solana already does the SVM. already does parallel execution, but didn't have a scheduler. And so we're solving the scheduler problem. I mean, since back when we started, like beginning of 2023, now that Solana has a scheduler, but our scheduler is 5x more throughput, 5x faster than theirs. And so that's how we're solving this performance problem.
How did you end up working on Solana, or coming down to Solana being the place you thought, let's plant our flag here, or let's work here, either exclusively or primarily? Was it because I remember Solana really had a bit of a heyday, 21, 22, whereas beforehand it was, Solana's coming or Solana's building, but then really with NFTs and some DeFi really kind of hit its straps around 21, 22. Is it because that's when you were coming into the ecosystem and you thought, oh, well, this guy's going to be a really big player, or was there anything else that was attracting you to Solana specifically?
With Solana, so when we got to Solana and started working in 2023 onwards, I think Solana kind of broken, moved past some of those initial teething problems or the FTX debacle, the issues that sort of fell out of that. So they moved past that. But for us, I mean, just looking at the chain, the architectural design decisions that they have working in there, they made good sense. They've made the right kind of choices there. There's lots of rooms for improvement, and they're talking about those right now. The developer ecosystem is great. They move fast. Things like what they call like the SIMDs, which are like public proposals. They move fast, much faster than the like similar things get decided on other chains, like for instance on Ethereum, and frankly, the developer ecosystem is growing for a good reason. I mean, it's welcoming, and I think Electric Capital, they have this regular developer report, like looking at developer adoption. Solana has the highest right now, so I think they're doing a lot of things right. And so yeah, that's why we picked Solana. I mean, for us, like, we were looking to solve the performance problem. We didn't want to build our own layer one over again. There's this thing, like, as a business decision, didn't make sense. That makes it more of a business problem than a technology problem. Like, we're technologists. We're not really business people, like our sort of core expertise. Not time for you to have a co-founder who's a business guy soon. But I mean, for me and for my team, it was like we're not cut out for solving cast all of this into a new business problem and try to build a new ecosystem over again. We just hitch our bandwagon to the best ecosystem, and then to more of the ecosystem that are going to win. And if they win, we win.
Yeah, good one. What do you think is the state of liquid staking on Solana? And how do you see staking in general, in particular on Solana, evolving into the future?
Now there's some recent interesting activity around that on Solana. So the liquid staking is the good thing about liquid staking on Solana is that Ethereum kind of proved out the idea, and with Solana, what they kind of leverage that in that instead of everybody going off and building their own smart contract for liquid staking, they've built a standard SPL, what they call SPL program that everybody can use. So your sort of security, reliability and your time to market with an LST is cut down drastically, and so you can launch an LST really fast. And so that's a good part, and we've leveraged that for our own LST also. And the LST marketplace is a smaller, the LST of the staking, of the entire staking market cap, LST is smaller. It was around 6%, if like last year, things it's close to 10% right now. It's not that huge as compared to the entire staking market cap, but it's growing, and it is retail facing, and so I think it will garner participation from users. So I think it's a good place. But generally, overall about staking, so Solana has introduced this recent proposal called SIMD 228, where they're going to taper off or ratchet down the inflationary rewards a bit, and sort of bring like a new equilibrium in the amount of stake deployed and the inflationary rate. So they're looking to, elongate that inflationary journey that is obviously tapering year after year anyway, but they want to do that more dynamically. What that's going to do is going to put pressure on node operators and validators, because inflation rewards are going to go down in the short term. And that's what's going to be new. I think in a few months from now, we'll start to see that happening. It might lead to consolidations. It'll put pressure on the small validators for sure. And I think our solution is going to help those guys a lot, because I mean, what the way we build them, we build a faster client for Solana that earns a lot more fees and block rewards. And so I think this change is actually going to be is going to be a tailwind for our solution and what we're offering to the validator and node operator and staker communities.
Yeah. For viewers who are familiar maybe with staking or understand staking, but now we're talking about liquid staking, could you perhaps help us understand what are the distinctions there between staking generally and liquid staking specifically?
It's essentially, liquid staking is essentially staking. It's just that with what let's call it staking, let's call it like native staking, or like without the liquid staking token involved. So you kind of lock up your token for a certain amount of time. On Solana, the minimum amount was an epoch, which is 2 days. So you lock that up, you stake it with a node, any node that you prefer, and that provides the financial security for the proof of stake chain. So you help guarantee security for the chain, and you earn a return on that because you're providing that service. But liquid staking is the same thing, except that you don't stay locked up. You get issued your token. Let's say you're staking SOL. Your SOL gets locked and it's staked, and you get issued an equivalent liquid staking token that you can take away, and you can choose to just keep it in your wallet, or you could just go and sell it on the marketplace. And whoever then holds that token will be earning that yield. And if you choose to keep it and you bring back and you unstake, or you return those liquid staking tokens, your SOL will get unlocked, and these liquid staking tokens will be burnt. And so you get your original SOL with the appreciated rewards back. So that's essentially, liquid staking is basically staking, but it allows you flexibility or mobility, where you can then, if you choose to, you can just go and sell some of your LST tokens, take some gains off of the table, and if you want to hold them, you can hold them. So you can do either, and participate in other protocols, maybe in some other DeFi protocols that are using those LSTs. So you can do that too. So it just creates more activity, makes things a little bit more flexible, but at its heart, it's still staking.
Yeah, it really does help, I think, though, deliver on part of the promise of a fractionalized economy, where, even though you're staking something that's now, it's not dead because it's earning for you, but you get the LSTs, and then you can actually continue to use the thing even though it's locked up. You have this tokens. It is the fact that you have tokens over there. Yeah, I think it's great. Keeps the momentum in the ecosystem clear, with all the benefits of that sort of staking, and removing sell pressure perhaps, and like you said, for validators, users, and whatnot. I mean, can you tell us what are some of the benefits for stakers, or of staking for validators, users, and projects? Building on Solana specifically.
So staking is where, for any proof of stake chain, or for Solana, is where all of the participants, their interests get aligned. The stakers are, the node operators are providing the infrastructure that is processing your transactions and building the distributed ledger. And then stakers are providing the financial guarantees and earning a return for that. And both of these guys together are providing the D-apps and other application builders the necessary transaction capacity. And so that they need for their business function and for their users. So users need their transactions to land, whatever their purpose is, like that is a social media thing, or they're buying some token or some NFT off of a DEX somewhere. So staking is what aligns all of these interests, and it's absolutely essential. It's the core piece for any layer 1 or layer 2, any chain. In Solana, obviously it performs the same function, and the thing is, like the way we look at it is like we want to speed it up and accelerate it and sort of derive more, get more value out of that for the players. So for the validators, they earn more rewards, so that it's more profitable for them. For the stakers who use their financial wherewithal to provide that security against something, they earn more return on it. And then the node operators, if you get higher throughput, for the users, you get higher throughput going through those nodes, then your business can flourish more. So that's how we are. What Rockarai is doing for staking, speed up staking, do more transactions per second, and just make that thing go faster for everyone.
Yeah, that's really cool. As you're building, as you're thinking, what are some of the, again, as you're thinking about the future, you've already mentioned you got like this 5x speed on the standard kind of way of utilizing Solana. Is there an upward limit without having then to go to L2s and whatnot? Because TPS was one of the things originally that Solana was held for, and had really massive backers. And you mentioned, FTX as well, obviously being listed in the early days, closely aligned there, and they were like the golden child of the crypto world at the time. And then became a real hub for NFTs, and all of a sudden, is this going to be the NFT chain, and then meme coins, and then is this going to be the meme coin chain? But like you, there have been serious builders building as well. And so I'm just wondering about the serious builders, how fast can it go, or how fast does it need to be? You talked about, 1 million per second or million per minute for the CeFi. Million per second, was it?
Million transactions per second.
Per second,
yeah, like
massive.
Binance does, like that's massive for sure. Yeah. So on their development roadmap, like Anza, which is the development arm of the Solana Foundation, their 2025 roadmap, they've already put like their roadmap to 1 million transactions per second up there. I mean, in Solana's original seed deck, they they pitched Solana as a blockchain at Nasdaq speed, and what Solana essentially does is they I mean, and I mean, to be fair, like all blockchains, all layer ones can do the same thing. Is where it is the magic of composability. Like you can have different functions, like you can have the access to markets and information through the chain. Like there's some asset, like a crypto token or something, or an NFT, you can get the price information for that. You need throughput and low latency for that. You need to land your transactions, you need throughput and latency for that. You need to settle all of this, and it needs to get settled. Your transactions need to be settled. So not just transact, but everything gets settled. You might have a loan that goes with it, like you might have credit with it, you might have some insurance with it. All of these functions that in the centralized world are kind of disjoint through various players to the magic of smart contracts that can all happen in one big composable thing. And so that's what Solana can achieve for you, or the layers can also do that. And Solana is particularly focused on that, and that is where that's sort of the big pull or the big draw for like what the Web3 future holds for finance and for other use cases. And for that, you really need to bring the throughput and TPS in line with what centralized systems can achieve. So how fast do you need to go? That 1 million TPS is not unrealistic. It is definitely something that would still leave a lot of demand on the table. And I do believe that the future is going to be multi-chain. So they're definitely going to be that. It's not all going to be on one chain or the other.
Sure.
But 1 million TPS is definitely something that you would be like, one big centralized exchange. And that's a good start. But I think we need to go past that. So there's a lot more that's going to happen in the future. I do believe,
Is it just a matter of time then? Like it's on the roadmap, you're working towards it, we're going to get there? Or are there technological barriers, or is there any kind of innovation that needs to still happen before we can get there? Or we have everything we need, we just have to actually progress until we make it happen?
There's there's there could be two broad categories of things that are needed in there. Like one thing is innovation on the protocol side of things. So what the basic guts of the thing, or the rules whereby the chain operates. Sometimes you have to rethink those, like what I mentioned about our proposal for more efficient, more flexible scheduling. Would require a rethink of like what are the rules that govern these scheduling principles, and so we need to relax those. So there's similar rules that are part of the protocol, and those need to be reconsidered. And Solana is looking into that. There's proposals around that. They want to embrace the block builder, block proposer model that Ethereum has, and I think that's going to help things jump forward quite a bit, and that's one of the things in the works. They want to have multiple concurrent leaders, so not just one leader node at a time, but multiple nodes at a time. That's going to increase throughput. So they have those things on the roadmap. The other thing is beyond the protocol is, again, the kind of thing that guys like me and my team do. Like there's a lot of performance left on the table. There's novel ideas and techniques that have already been applied in the networking world and the hardware world that need to be customized and applied to the blockchain world. So in terms of some breakthroughs, you could see a chip or an FPGA, which is like a flexible programmable chip. You could see that being used in blockchain in the near future. So that can happen.
Seems like you would be in a unique position having that background and knowledge to actually effectuate some of those things. Is that something that's in the back of your mind, or whether you're hoping somebody else works on and deals with, or something that you might want to work on?
Yeah, it's something that we can definitely work on. We did evaluate it. So it's like, sort of the typical critique of engineers, like you give them a good problem and they just go chasing off behind that problem, and you need to look at sort of the business side of things and sort of the financial viability and like whether somebody even needs it. Like I can go and solve that problem, but do people need it? I think at the moment the network is not there, the demand is not there, but it's growing, and so I don't think it's not in the too distant future that the demand will require that you have something like that available. Jump Crypto, which is a big player in the Solana ecosystem, they're one of the original backers behind Solana. They're also building the Firedancer client for Solana, and they've talked a number of times about an FPGA implementation. Also, not in the latest breakpoint, but prior to breakpoints, they have talked about it. So I think this is something that players are thinking about, and we do feel that we are uniquely positioned to contribute in that also.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so if you were in charge of Solana, the future direction maybe, what are the kinds of things that you would do to enhance its reputation? Maybe I'm assuming that its reputation is still a big chunk of its reputation around, it's about TPS and meme coins, and the meme coins love it because of the TPS, and so that works well. But then again, there are lots of builders, and it is an exceptional chain. I think it's rightly, being recognized as one of the 3 main crypto players, blockchain players. But what would you do in terms of enhance its reputation and drive adoption by users and builders?
Frankly, Solana is doing a lot of these things in the right way, and that's why they're the fastest growing chain in terms of developer adoption by far. Then again, in terms of trading volumes, the Solana has surpassed. It surpassed Ethereum fairly recently, but now it's sort of beyond Robinhood, which is a very popular trading platform in the continental US, and Solana has sort of gone past their trading volume also. So they're doing a lot of things right into attracting developers, into delivering performance. What I do, I guess, the way I look at it again is sort of maintain that speed of taking on good ideas and letting those the best ideas win, which is the basic ethos of the open source community. Good ideas can come from anywhere, and just we want the best ideas to win, and that's what all blockchains have embraced, and I think Solana moves a bit faster on that. I think they need to keep that ethos going. And with this latest change, like what we talked about, the Simbi 228, where the inflationary rewards are going to taper, it dynamically for readjust. The devil is in the details, like how they do that. If not done right, it can put a dent in decentralization. Like if you squeeze out the smaller node operators because it becomes too costly to operate, that cause like some amount of centralization and concentration amongst the big node operators only. And yeah, those are the things that they need to be mindful of that I can think of. But otherwise, I think they're doing a lot of the things right. They just need to do more of those and just move faster. Like they constantly keep talking about IBRL, increase bandwidth, reduce latency. That's a great mantra to have. And I mean, this year they're basically pushing that a lot. I'm quite excited, looking forward to like what we get out of that, like the IBRL thing. And yeah, Rockarai is basically aligned with the idea. I think that's what we're doing. Like we can do 5x the TPS. We just need more block space. So you want Solana to give us more block space. Block size is too small. We want bigger block sizes. And so if you have bigger blocks, yeah, everybody's happy. Everybody can land their transactions, and you can build a lot more DeFi applications on the chain just with more block space.
How much of that do you think they are hoping people like you come in with the solution, and how much do you think they want to provide those solutions?
That'd be hard to say. Like
that's a big difference.
Yeah, the 5x is definitely again, it's like the scheduling thing. Just thinking about it in a different way, it can yield that much. We have achieved that. That will bump up against the block size. What I was just mentioning. Block size is where like you can do more transactions, but then the block size is an upper limit on that. Hence, we need more block size. On their roadmap this year is 2x block size. And yeah, we can, in our testing on testnet, we've blown past 2x. We've gotten to 5x on testnet already. So we want more block space. So I think that's something that if they are if they can move fast on that, I think that would be great, because obviously there's every idea has a time and a place, and so for whatever we are delivering right now, we would like to get into the hands of people as fast as possible, and we'd love to have the block space to do that. In terms of the like how much are they encouraging other developers and how much would they do themselves, I think they've put a lot of muscle behind building a lot of the infrastructure pieces. Like Rakurai is an infrastructure startup squarely, and back when I started, like I got some feedback from friends and advising that, why are you doing this? I mean, this is an infrastructure thing. It's the foundation's job. Like, why are you doing this? But the models have evolved. Now we're hearing the echoes of our business ideas from competition already. So things evolve, and I mean, like over sort of the past year and a half, things have evolved already, and so yeah, things are going to change, and there'll be a lot more builders building these things, which were thought to be just the purview of the foundation or just the engineering team that's working with the foundation. I think that's changing already.
Yeah, that composability, it's a whole different game, actually, when you can build something, plug it into the existing ecosystem and actually make it better. I think that's I don't know, I was going to say underutilized, but perhaps like you just said, people just don't even know that it's a possibility. Are there
indeed? Please. Sorry.
I was going to say, are there other aspects where people just aren't looking because they didn't know that they could actually build something, in that composable kind of way? Are there other kind of areas of opportunity that people should be looking at on Solana?
There's several. It's a gold mine, I think, and with Solana, and like we looked at the scheduler, and the scheduler was a gold mine for us. Like we spent a bunch of time optimizing it, and there's Paladin has come out with a solution, which is again an infrastructure solution, and it is again around scheduling and MEV or MEV protection. Jito, which was sort of the avant-garde in the MEV space in Solana. So they've done several things like again a heavily infrastructure focused project. So that I would encourage people to look at the infrastructure side of things also, not just the application layer. That's one thing, and so there's a lot that can be done. The other thing is uh, um, Web3 will solve problems that are maybe already addressed to some extent in the CeFi space or the Web2 space, but in a much more efficient way. So there's lots of rooms for figuring out how this business gets executed in the Web2 space and how would it reimagining it in the Web3 space, and providing that same audience in the Web2 space with an easy on-ramp into the Web3 space. And that's where you could build something which is again like solves an incremental problem for those people, gets them going on Web3, and helps you capture a decent market that already existed and help it grow. So I think that's another thing to look at. Like meme coins were a hype thing. They're not. I mean, the meme coins aren't dead, but they've gone down significantly. Now that same the tech behind meme coin is finding realization through RWAs. You securitize stuff, so RWAs are coming, like something from the CeFi world is finding a home in the DeFi space through RWAs, and so people should look at how they can leverage ideas in the in the CeFi space and give them a home in the DeFi space.
Yeah, man, there's some gold in there as well. You said you hit a gold mine, but I think there's a lot. If people actually hear what you're saying there's a lot of opportunity. You mentioned before about the future being multi-chain, but I'm also wondering if Solana hits 1 million TPS and has a solid and growing infrastructure layer and a growing and solid and growing application layer and enterprise layer. Where do you see the future of multi-chain, or the benefit of a multi-chain future? Why not put everything on Solana?
I guess there's always going to be some amount of there's technical aspect and business aspect. Like technically, there's always going to be some specialization that requires a different kind of chain that tunes the basic parameters a different way. For instance, like why would you need a layer 2? Like a layer 2 can be a great solution for solving the bandwidth or TPS problem, provided decentralization is not that much of a concern. So like say Web3 gaming, like in Web3 gaming, you're not actually maybe not trading like sending tons of money across the globe or something. So a faster performance on Web3 through a layer 2 for Web3 gaming is a great idea. So there's going to be different choices that suit different use cases better. The other thing is the exchange of value needs to happen, and stable coins have a role to play in that. As ecosystems develop, could be because of sort of the geographical diversity or what have you. Like for instance, like a certain geography might prefer a certain stable coin where is just preferred for exchange of value, and then maybe a chain is more dominant over there. But then these stable coins, because they help with bridging, you can bridge over to another chain and still get benefit of whatever is available in that ecosystem. And so I think it's just how naturally the financial systems have evolved, and blockchain will kind of follow that same kind of route. And how much consolidation will happen, it's remains to be seen, I guess. But I mean, at the moment, yeah, for sure, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of layer 1, a lot of projects that get launched, like a new layer 1 over again. You probably don't need that many layer 1s, but yeah, I do think that we do need a fair amount of layer 1s that are sort of tuned for the right kind of purpose.
Yeah, gotcha. Is there anything in particular that you are very excited about for the year ahead for the rest of 2025?
IBRL, we need to increase bandwidth, reduce latency. Rockarai has built a great solution that helps with that. we want more block space, and it's on the roadmap for Solana. They'll take us to 2x the block space this year. Really excited about that.
Is that as controversial as it was with Bitcoin?
Block space with I guess there's a they're going about it carefully. They want to make sure that nothing breaks there. There's a fair amount of I mean, there's a competing point of view on that for sure. Even like even from within Anza, like Anatoly has been pushing for that for a long time. Some of the core dev team has been pushing against it because it can have inadvertent consequences. So I mean, there's healthy debate around it. But yeah, I mean, for us, we hope that it happens soon. Last year, it was more controversial. This year is on the roadmap. So, like I said, I mean, things change. Another interesting thing, another parallel is closed source code in a Web3 world. Like blockchain is all about open source. So, what about closed source? I think closed source is another thing which seems kind of counterintuitive, but closed source has great value in unlocking certain businesses, certain ideas, because that's the only way to monetize that and make it available and accessible. So I think there's, back when we started, and yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've benefited a lot from open source immensely, and we've contributed to open source. So we're big believers in open source, but closed source has a role to play. And I think that's again something that folks at the foundation are also embracing, are comfortable with right now. And we've talked to a lot of node operators and validators, and they're more comfortable with it right now. And that's, again, something that will evolve and change. And same thing with block space. There was kind of resistance to the idea, and now it's on the roadmap. So yeah, so definitely looking forward to some big moves in that direction this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you mentioned the closed source. That was one of the things that surprised me the most back in 2016, 17, first diving into the whole blockchain ecosystem was obviously everyone being very philosophically pro-distributed ledger, technologies, and decentralization philosophically as well. But it was the open source part where I was like, where is all the closed source commercialization, and how, you're kind of squeezing everyone into only the open source route, which leaves a whole lot of closed source commercialization on the table. And even incentivization perhaps for people to have closed source, to have a moat with their code rather than having to monetize through tokens and other kinds of things. So yeah, man, that's very interesting that you see that coming down the pipeline. What about?
No, I do, and then I'm just going to quickly add that the certification thing, the certification and code audits and such are now a well understood, well adopted idea, and so those will help with the easy adoption of closed source. And there's a fair bit of evolution that needs to happen around these ideas. But you're right, there's a lot of ways that can be unlocked through closed source solutions, and the community needs to figure out a way to embrace them. And I think certification and audits is one thing that will definitely help with that.
Good on. What about this year for Rockarai? What are you most looking forward to?
Our roadmap. So we're looking to we're in the initial rollout for our solution. We want to attract a lot of staking capital for this client, and then roll the next high value service on top of this, right? Because we're all about high quality of service transaction landing, getting everybody room on chain to get the transactions to land, get them landed instantly. And so we want to get to that future as quickly as possible. That goes through staking, that goes through attracting staking capital, because the more staking capital you get, the more block space you get, and then you can offer that block space to your customers and your users. So that's what we're sort of most excited about, going through the initial rollout right now. And we have the entire roadmap ahead of us. So yeah, excited about that.
Yeah, that is exciting. I think what we'd like to ask all the guests on the show, if you have any particular kinds of contrarian views or how can we learn from your way of thinking? Where are there any areas where most of the market or most of the Web3 ecosystem, or not even to do with Web3 at all, just with your own thinking, most people think one particular way, but you tend to think another way? Or do you have any kind of minority report that you think we could benefit from hearing?
Yeah, I guess I have a couple of ideas. One was the closed source thing that we just talked about. So, but yeah, I mean, closed source is something that can add a lot of value and unlock a lot of potential. And right now, the dominant idea, or the dominant model is definitely open source. We get a lot of pushback. We talk about closed source, and I think open source, closed source is going to find fair amount of traction quite soon. Sort of finding traction. I think that's going to grow. So people need to, rather than just think about closed source as a no-go, they need to think about closed source as something that needs to be solved and figured out and made part of the ecosystem in an acceptable way for all players to benefit from it. That's one thing. The other thing is, like, I guess something that, like, what we bring to the table, and I guess because of our unique perspective coming from sort of the hardware design world and the networking world and the algorithmic trading world, there's a lot of problems that have been solved in the centralized world, in the networking world, that that can help further the goals that Web3 has. And it's just a matter of, like I've often sort of have this conversation with my friends and advisor, where we say that, like, if somebody like a Cisco decided to build a blockchain, they could probably leave everybody else behind in the dust, because they have solved a whole bunch of these problems already. Like they've been there, done that. And so it's just that they're not looking at it this way, and the guys in the Web3 space are not looking at it that way. So they're sort of more looking at the protocol innovation, and the network world looking at their own enterprise networking world thing. But if they sort of put their heads together, I think they can unlock a lot of value.
Do you see that happening? As in, like, do you think that will happen in the future? Because I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess we're kind of doing that in our own little way as a small startup that's getting started. And so we're doing that. And we have ideas about leveraging this in the future. And we see where the Web3 world evolves to and what performance it demands. And we can put that in our roadmap and meet that need. But I think that's where once the centralized world or the networking world starts to see the potential and value, I think they might step in. Just at the moment, I think this kind of barrier, like we know about, like the crypto wallet thing, like, can everybody use a crypto wallet? Is it, like, easy to use? No, it's not. So same thing with decentralization and blockchain. There's a barrier to entry there. Once that is overcome, I think we'll see a lot more of this happening, this cross-pollination of ideas, and a lot more teams sort of going across and building stuff on the other side. But I think that's it just takes people to sort of have that courage to let their ideas grow and see if they can win. And if you have that, then yeah, it's the basic entrepreneurial thing. Like, do you have the courage to step out of your comfort zone and put your effort behind your idea? And if you do that, yeah, it'll happen. You can do it. And a lot of people can do it. Yeah, I mean, I fully believe in the democracy of ideas. I mean, the ideas are good, but good ideas can come from anywhere. And yeah, we have some good ideas, but I think there's a lot of people out there who can bring their ideas to the table. They just need to sort of overcome that barrier of like lack of familiarity, perhaps, or whatever they have. They need to embrace their creativity and use it. And yeah, you'll see that happening.
Yeah, that's good advice. Do you have any other advice for people who have been, like you, very high-class operators and stepping into the entrepreneurial world? Do you have any lessons that you've learned that, maybe hard won, or that advice that you've been given along the way that you've found has proven very helpful? That might be helpful for our viewers.
I guess it's there's a lot in there. I mean, it's like it's basically the entrepreneurial journey. Like, not everybody's cut out for that, and not everybody embraces it. There's other risk involved. Obviously, there's the reward also part of the risk reward thing is maybe not everybody's cup of tea. But I think the thing that people need to keep in mind is you need to be ready to break through the cyclical chicken and egg problem. So you face a lot of these cyclical chicken and egg type of problems and need to have that sort of tenacity and I guess the out of the box thinking that can help you sort of break through those chicken and egg problems and show to people what value can be created if you solve those problems. A lot of times these problems are it's just the way we look at things. They're not like a particularly circular problem. It's just that how we've kind of gotten accustomed to doing things and we just assume that's how they would work. And so some amount of contrarian thinking, some amount of thinking out of the box is needed. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to be ready to be breaking through these cyclical problems on a daily basis. So that's what you need to do.
Is that a skill that you can learn, or is that something that you kind of have to have within you, do you think?
Oh, I guess it's something that like people have that in various ways. I guess people are just like idea machines. Like you I'm sure you must have met people like you sit with them for like 5 minutes there and you get so many ideas. So there's people who can do that, and yeah, but then there's the sort of the perpetual optimists who those guys can do that. But you need to obviously you sort of bring it together in terms of like this execution ethos, like, and that's something that like kind of I see that in Apple. Like Apple is an execution machine. Obviously you get these products that the world loves, a lot of people love, and they do the surprise and delight thing really well. But it comes at a cost of a lot of hard engineering and a lot of people putting their heads together to solve these problems in a good way. So you need all of those together. But yeah, I guess you need to be a perpetual optimist to do this. So I think that's what it is about being an entrepreneur.
I like that a lot, actually. Ali, thank you so much for joining us today. If people want to hear more from you or learn more about Rockarai, where can they find you online?
Great. Love the opportunity. Thanks for taking our time and talking to me today. And yeah, if you or your audience, anybody's interested, please look at Rockarai.io or our Twitter, LinkedIn, or Telegram, and we'd love to hear from you.
But anyway, we'll chuck all those things in the show notes so people can find you. And again, thank you. All the best for 2025 and all of those things that you're looking forward to this year. My hope is that we'll see all of those as well.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Off-Chain. We love bringing you great guests like Ali and hope we've inspired you to learn more about Web3, about technology, about the future, and how you might be a part of building it together. As always, please like, subscribe, or better yet, share this episode with a friend and help us spread the word. And join us again next week for another exciting episode of Off-Chain. Until then, take care.